Hello, I'm Evan Nolan, the president and co-founder of the United States Athletics Hall of Fame. Here's another returning nominee for a class of 2024. Born in Chicago in January of 1962, Chris Chelios grew up in the nearby village of Evergreen Park and started playing hockey for Evergreen Park High School. Now, partway through his high school career, his family had actually moved to Poway, California, which was a region of the country that did not have high school hockey in the end of the 1970s. The idea that Chelios would go on to become unquestionably the greatest U.S.-born defenseman and perhaps the greatest ever U.S.-born hockey player of all time is a bit of a minor miracle. After graduation, he actually got one scholarship offer from the United States International University in San Diego, California, which, believe it or not, was the only college program west of the Mississippi at that time at a varsity level. The problem was, since he didn't really get to play in high school, everyone else was bigger and stronger than he was. He actually ended up getting cut from the team. So he decided to go to Canada and try out for the juniors there. But again, everyone was still bigger and more experienced than he was. He ended up getting cut from 2 junior B teams up there. He actually had to borrow money to get back to California where he could lick his wounds and regroup. Now, when he was home, he actually grew 3 inches and added 40 pounds of muscle and decided to return to Canada. He actually made the Moose Jaw Canucks in the Canadian juniors, who he'd played with for 3 years. His third season, he played 54 games and tallied 87 points as a defenseman. That was enough for the Montreal Canadiens to pick him in the second round of the 1981 draft. He had gone from nearly quitting hockey to being drafted by the greatest organization in the NHL. Now, he'd compete for the U.S. in both the 1980 and 1982 World Junior Championships and played for the University of Wisconsin, winning the 1983 Frozen Four title with the Badgers. That year, he'd actually finished second in the Calder Trophy voting, losing to some guy named Mario Lemieux, who you may have heard of. He'd also be part of the 1984 Winter Olympic team in Sarajevo that would finish 7th, before joining the Canadiens at the end of that season for 12 regular season and 15 playoff games. He'd be full-time the next year in 1985, making the All-Star team as a rookie and making the All-Rookie team. The next season, in 86, he'd only play 41 games, but the Canadiens would win the Stanley Cup, bringing him his first. He'd spend the rest of the decade with the Canadiens, winning the Norris Trophy as the NHL's top defenseman in 1989, and becoming the first American ever to serve as captain of the Canadiens, before he was traded to his hometown Blackhawks for Denis Savard in a second-round pick. He'd spend the decade of the 90s with the Blackhawks, leading them to the 1992 Stanley Cup Finals, where he'd lose to that pesky Mario Lemieux guy again in the Pittsburgh Penguins. He'd served 4 years as their captain, winning 2 more Norris trophies with them in both 1993 and 96. And during the 90s, would also help the U.S. do their greatest international win since the 1980 Olympics, as the U.S. defeated Canada in the 1996 World Cup of Hockey Finals and be a member of the All-Tournament team. Now, Chelios was traded to the Detroit Red Wings at the end of the 1999 season, actually during the trade deadline, becoming the 37-year-old needed veteran leader for one of the NHL's dominant teams. He'd win 2 more Stanley Cups with the Red Wings in 2002 and 2008, and would also captain the U.S.'s silver medal team at the 2002 Olympics in Salt Lake City. He'd leave the Red Wings after the 2009 season and would retire after 7 games with the Atlanta Thrashers in 2010, retiring at the age of 48. Thus ended a 27-year odyssey that left an indelible mark on the game. Chelios would retire with 11 All-Star Game appearances, 5 first-team and 2 second-team All-NHL nods, 3 Stanley Cups, 3 Norris trophies, the Mark Messier Leadership Award, a World Gold Cup medal, an Olympic silver medal, the Canada Cup silver medal, and induction both the Hockey Hall of Fame and the IIHF Hall of Fame. And he still holds the NHL record for most playoff games ever played at 266. That's more than 3 full seasons of extra hockey in the playoffs at the highest possible level of intensity. He may be the greatest American hockey player ever, and he did finish as our top hockey vote getter last year, but still was only number 87 overall on the list. Can he get closer to induction now in class number 2? That's going to be up to you. You can vote for Chris Chelios or any of our other nominees to the United States Athletics Hall of Fame at www.theusahof.com. That's theusahalloffame.com. Voting continue between now and we make our final announcement December 1st. We just changed that. So vote as often as you like, as long as it's only once a day. I'll be back soon with another nominee, but until then, take care.